Sawadee Cup, everyone, and welcome to the Muay Thai Basics video series where we will show you the actual first techniques you would experience when you train with us at Impact Martial Arts Academy. Before we get into it though, if you find value in this video, please consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn the notifications on. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to learn is the kickstance. There's many other kickstances that you'll probably see out there in Muay Thai, but this one that we're going to learn today is going to set the foundation on the next lessons that are to come. So we'll take our feet naturally underneath our hips, and we're going to take a step back. Now, should I step back with my right foot or my left foot? Honestly, it really doesn't matter. My left foot is in the front, so this is called the orthodox stance. If I were to switch, this one would be the southpaw stance. And I get students that ask all the time, which one should I pick? It really doesn't matter. It's whichever one that is comfortable to you. And here at Impact, we're going to be in both stances anyway, so just pick one to start with, okay? So one leg that's in the back. I'm going to take an imaginary towel, and I'm going to put it around my neck like this, and let my arms hang down nice and naturally. Now you notice it's like kind of pinching my body with my elbows. Now I'm not going to be doing it super tight, but just natural. Notice also that my shoulders are not up this way. They're nice and relaxed, okay? Now, this space right here to protect my head, I'll need to bring it down, and I'll accomplish that by making a little crunch here. So if I go to the side, so you can actually see my unprotected head, I will now crunch and bring my head to the space where my hands are, rather than my hands coming up to protect my head. Why? Because if I do it this way, my shoulders are now engaged. And if I were to hold my arms up like this the whole time, my shoulders would get really tired, and eventually I'll start going this way. And then now I have an unprotected head. Okay? So a little crunch with my arms hanging nice and relaxed right here. Okay? Now, the last part of my stance is to take my lead leg and I create like a little tippy toe. What I like to do with the lead leg depends on where my training partner is at, or maybe my opponent. I personally like to make my lead leg point at their back leg. There are times where I'd like to point it towards their lead leg or maybe in the middle, but that's for a lesson in the future. So for right now, imagine just pointing it at their back leg. Okay, so again, natural, one step back, hang the towel over your neck, a little crunch, and then a tippy toe. Now, let's get moving. My feet, 1, 2, tap, tap. It looks like 1, 2, tap, tap. Again, 1, 2, tap, tap. Continuously. Now as I do this, I'm going to start moving my arms, and you'll notice that it's not going up and down. So if I go sideways, it's actually going forward and then back. To exaggerate the motion, it's actually going down, out, up, and then back. Again, down, out, up, and back. Now it would look strange if I were to fight like this, right? So I'm going to make it much smaller where I'm using economy of motion. And then forward. All right, your very first Muay Thai technique, the round kick. All right, so I'm going to just grab my partner's leg right here. And if you have a partner at home that can help you with this, be awesome, because this is going to go back and forth. We'll just take turns. Number one, we're going to take a look at this pivot right here. What I'm going to ask him to do is take his heel and then jump it towards me like that, as if he's going to squash a grape with his heel, and then jump it back. Let's do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Which is a very, very, very important item when you do the round kick, because without it, your knee here would move in this direction if your foot was still. A very other important detail is that when you do it, it creates more power. So super important to do that, okay? So I'm gonna grab my partner's leg again. He's gonna jump it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And as you get comfortable with it, just do it 3 consecutive times. 1, 2, 3, okay? Number 2, the knee. And it's attached to the hip here. I'm just gonna go over here so that way I can help give my partner a little break. He's going to like give a high five, not a high five, but like a 5 with his knee, like that. And you'll notice that his hip will rotate as he does that, okay? So if I were to put his leg back here, again, 1, 2, 3, super simple. The third part is the hand as if to do a high five, but with his hand moving in this direction rather than forward this way, it's gonna go backwards. Now, when I'm in class, I like to imagine as if you're using your fingertips to touch the shoulder, like this, like that. Or if I put a cup on my head, he would hit it the same way and just kind of like quickly tap it to make it get knocked off. Okay, so if you can imagine, that's right there. Boom, okay? So we'll use this area for his hand to move through. 1, 2, and then 3. Notice when he did that, his hands will be right here next to his face, and the elbow comes tight to the body. To add a little bit more power, this motion is going backwards, while this part of the shoulder or body is going forward or rotationally moving forward, okay? So if he puts it all together with the guard, the rotation, and the fingertips knocking off the cup off my head, 2 and 3. We call that the long guard. So if we put it all together, he's doing the pivot first, 1, 2, 3, then the knee and the hip, 1, 2, 3, and then knocking off the cup, 1, 2, 3, and now all together, 1, 2, 3. Now if you continue doing this for a while, in the beginning, it's going to help stretch out your hips. I know some people have told me before when they're going through this that they're still tight, and the more that you practice, it will definitely loosen up. So now we're going to add the 4th part to it. I'm going to hold on to my partner's leg. Now it's very important when you're holding on to your partner's leg that you hold it all the way through as if to make it rest next to your elbow rather than holding it on with your hand like this. You see how my elbow's out? Eventually, this is going to get tiring, and next thing you know, I'm going to start holding my partner's leg like this, decreasing the efficiency of how my partner can practice. So I'm just going to hold it up like this. You can hold on to your belly, or you can hold on to your, like a fist, like this. And if your partner needs to still work on their flexibility, you can hold it like that, like we said earlier, until you can build it all the way back up, okay? But I'm going to hold it up here for my partner. He's going to practice it for me. So this part of his shin, okay, this part of his shin, which is the sweet spot of the kick. You don't want to use the middle part or the top part. If you use the top part, you might as well be kneeing. If you use the bottom part right here next to the ankle, kicking here would definitely hurt the ankle, and especially the instep of the foot where there's like a lot of little bones. You can temper it over time, but it's much better to use a solid single bone right here in the front to do the striking with. So that's going to be making contact to my body. Notice it's not the whole shin. It's just this part of the kick, okay? So now, as it's making contact, and we're practicing all of those points, he's basically going to use like this little umph to push me backward. And I'm going to stay on him so that way he can practice again. Okay, again. And one more time. Now I'm just absorbing rather than just standing still like a mountain or like a, I don't know, like a telephone pole. I'm going to do a little bit of absorption so that way my partner has flexibility in his practice and we both can maintain some sort of balance. So again, the push, 2 and 3. Now, all of the details, the pivot, the knee rotation with the hip, the long guard, and with a little bit of push. One more time. Good. And that part right there of the kick would be almost the end part where we create a little bit more oomph and power for the round kick. All right, the last part. Let's put it on the pads. So we're basically going to do the same exact thing, and in the beginning of the video I talked about the lead leg pointing at the rear leg. Super important when I'm training with my partner that as a pad holder, I'm actually going to help remind him of that. Because he's going to be so busy trying to think of a whole bunch of details, and me as a pad holder, a good training partner, is only going to help account for maybe, let's say, 1 or 2 details. He's already doing a bunch of work all on his own, and I don't want to compound how much is going on inside of his head. So I'm going to be a simple training partner. So I'm going to have him just make sure that he's pointing at my back leg. He'll take a step out and then incorporate all of the motions that we were doing earlier today, from the 1, 2, tap, tap, the pivot of the leg, the rotation of the knee and hip, the high five here, and even the oomph. Now, super important as a pad holder. When you hold pads, it shouldn't be with your elbows in the front like this, because if he kicks, and if you look at how the hinge works for your elbow, this is very unhealthy for your elbow. It's going to eventually hurt over time, especially, well, actually it would hurt right from the very beginning here. Okay? If he kicks too high, you'll definitely feel it on the elbow, and there is a chance that you hit yourself in the face. So better is to take the pads and put them in the side this way and create like an upside down V. So when it's absorbed, my shoulders and my elbows create more of like a shock absorption system here. Okay? Now, when I take a little bit more absorption, I'm just going to meet it a little bit. So that way if he kicks, I don't just go flying back, right? Just a little bit. I don't want to anticipate with my hands going down, because if I do that, and then I get hit in the face. And I've actually seen that a few times. So nice and easy, boom, boom. He kicks. One more time. Now, last but not least, for the striker, I'm not sure if you can actually hear it, but he's sounding off. In the beginning, it might sound a little awkward at first, but it's a lot better than holding your breath. So first breathing technique is shh. 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 If you can hear the shh that comes along with it. It tenses the body appropriately and it brings in more oxygen into your body so that way you can continue doing your practice. Now the second breathing technique is using a bit of your voice. When you use your voice, it's called sounding off. And when you do that, it adds even more power. Now, it depends on how you feel about sounding off. Start off low volume, but then as you really get into it, rise the volume. Increase it more so that way it taps into your natural power. So let's take a look at it from a low volume perspective first. Now we gradually bring it up a little bit more. Hey. 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 And then we'll do maybe 2 or 3. Let's say 3. Nice and loud sound off. Hey. Hey. Hey.